You're welcome to Business Time. My name is Kemini Amano. In this week's episode, we are having a conversation around power. We are asking a number of questions, including what do you know, what you need to know, rather, about the power situation now in the country. We are also asking how the communication around the power situation is going and what its implications could be for you as an individual or business watching now. We'll have this conversation with Executive Director for the Africa Energy Consortium, Kwame Jantuah, who will join us here in the studio in a moment. But don't forget that we'll also bring you the investment tips to help you, essentially, give you some investment tips on your next portfolio you hope to add to your investments. It would also bring you the commodities and forex market at the latter part of the program. But there's also the weekly news roundup. My name is Kemini Amano. This program is brought to you by Giant Malt, World Vision Financial Services, Jubin House of Beauty for my makeup, Nalem Clothing, and then powered by the Business and Financial Times newspaper, Africa's leading provider of credible business information. We'll be right back with that conversation. Don't go away.
Please, can I check my number?
Okay. Wow! Give me! You have won the ultimate prize, a brand new car.
What? A car?
Yes, a car, not a toy car. This is the key to your car. Wait, call your daddy.
Okay.
All right. So you see, he has won a car, but there are 4 more cars to be won, plus other amazing prizes and many more in the Giant Malt Open and Win promotion from July to October 2016. Just buy a can of Giant Malt, open a lid, and the number you find under it, voila, you can go to any Romani distributor or Royal Boat depots to redeem your prizes instantly. Giant Malt Open and Win promotion. Onapo, terms and conditions apply.
Leading mortgage provider Ghana Home Loan sees its decision to start raising funds locally capable of accelerating the real sector and ultimately leading to lower home prices. At the launch of the company's 380 million 3-year domestic bonds over the week, CEO Dominic Edu told the BNFT that funds raised will be available not only to homeowners but also to developers. Well, if you just tuned in, this is Business Time, and today we're asking the question, what is the power situation now? To help us find an answer, or many more, to this question is Kwame Jantuah. He's Executive Director for the Africa Energy Consortium. You're welcome to the program, Mr. Jantuah.
Good afternoon.
We've had this conversation before, but look at us again. We're going to have it again, and hopefully we'll find ways or prognosis to what seems to be the problem now. But from where you sit as a consortium, why do you think that we seem to have come back to where we left off maybe beginning of the year?
Do you think from the word go, we actually identified what the problem was? Did we? In terms of we brought in massive equipment to be able to generate electricity. Was that the problem, or was it part of the problem? So let's take it that it was part of the problem. So we've been able to solve that part on an emergency basis, because that was what we were meant. We were told that all the power equipment we're bringing in was for emergency purposes. That's fine. Now, if it's for emergency purposes, it has to run on something. What is it supposed to run on? On the various types of fuel and, if I can put it, resources we have in terms of the fuel to run the different types of fuel. So we have gas, we have LCO, which is light crude oil, we have heavy crude oil, and we have water. Why do I say water? We have the Akosombo type generation plant. So, for me, to answer that question, we didn't solve the actual problem.
And that's why we're here.
And the actual problem is finance. The actual problem is a strong economy. Because when you have a strong economy, when such shocks come, it can cushion it. This whole challenge of going back into dumso hinges on finances. Because if we had the finances, majorly the finances, if we had the finances, we'd be able to buy LCO from anywhere. We would be able to pay whatever debt we owe those who are supplying us. We would be able to buy the fuel and store for times like this. So we have all the generation plans. Have we been able to get adequate funding to buy the resource to man the generators? No, we haven't.
But this is the regulator's argument when it comes to finance. The regulator, which is the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, has mentioned that, look, we do not think that the problem we're having now is because of finance. And this is the explanation the spokesperson gives, that we've just gone up on tariffs. And so they are raking in revenue, and financing should not be a problem. What's your reaction to such an argument?
It depends on where that financing is being targeted to. If that financing is being targeted to maintain equipment, then part of that money from the tariffs will do that. It will not all go into buying generation fuel. But when we brought in these power badges and all, did we have long-term financing in place? Because it needs long-term financing. We didn't foresee what would happen with FPSO Kwame Nkrumah in terms of the tariff. But this is where Ghana fell short. And some of us, from the time we started, in terms of we started producing oil, 2006, 2007, when government decided that let's use FPSOs to drill the oil out. Some of us says, yes, you can use FPSOs, but there can be a major problem with FPSOs if something major goes wrong with it. So let's have a mix of FPSOs and rigs, and I've said it on this program before. That's because where rigs are concerned, it's immovable. It stands at one place. If anything goes wrong, you fly the technicians in, they fix it, they're gone.
Some have argued, I mean, like you have said, that we haven't tackled the problem from its core. Some have argued that instead of going in for the emergency power badges, we should have concentrated on getting alternative fuel sources. Now, from where you sit, could that have been possible at the time government was taking the decision?
We should have done it hand in hand. And we shouldn't really have relied only on Nigeria, especially where the crude source is concerned, or yes, is concerned, especially with the gas and especially with the LCO. I think that within West Africa, there are other countries that produce oil and gas. One major one is Equatorial Guinea. I don't know whether government tried. I don't know whether they had discussions with the Equatorian people. But we cannot put all our eggs in one basket where Nigeria is concerned. Because really, Nigeria had been flaring gas since inception of their oil and gas industry. It was just recently they realized that, the gas can do something for us. And what are they turning the gas into? They are turning it into liquefied natural gas. And they can export that and earn a lot of money. So if you are not paying them, what you owe them, and they feel they can make much money from the liquefied natural gas, why should they supply you? You see, this is where we say that the contract between the Nigerians and us, please be transparent with it, so that some of us can now interrogate it, and if for nothing at all, advise government, if they don't have the right people there to advise them, to do the right thing where Nigeria is concerned, and Nigeria to do the right thing where Ghana is concerned.
There's been a lot of noise around whether or not it's because there is sabotage on the Nigerian side, or is it actually because government owes gas and maybe WAPCO, and reason we are not getting the gas we need? Now, from where you sit, I mean, WAPCO has come out to say that really government owes us some money, reason it's not supplying. From where you sit, is there another way of bringing in the gas without necessarily going through the West African gas pipeline?
You see, it's a cocktail of all the things you mentioned, especially where the Nigerian issue is concerned. But looking at our own circumstances, when we were building the West African gas pipeline, we knew that Ghana had potential for gas. We knew Ghana had the potential for oil. We knew that Ghana has a wide oil and gas offshore activity map. So we built the West African gas pipeline. Did we not think of building a reserve pipeline from our gas installation back to the Tema enclave? Did we not think of doing that then when we were putting the West African gas pipeline in? Because really, if not for the current issues, and we had thought of that, we could have been getting gas from Etuabo back to Tema.
So what should the plan be, for instance, for the FPS water mills?
Well, I think that, I understand that by mid-August, it should be producing gas. And that field is more a non-associated field than an associated field. Associated field is where you have oil and gas in one field, and non-associated is where you have only gas. Okay. And the quantum of gas coming out of the 10 field is quite heavy. Now, we should make sure that Etuabo's books are down to zero, that we have made sure that all the debts that we owe them have been paid. They have the working capital to be able to produce the gas coming out of the 10 project. Because really and truly, depending on how FPSO Kwame Nkrumah goes, it could happen that we'll be relying more on the 10 project than Jubilee. However, if we can sort out the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, then it will be a good thing. Now, in so doing, what is the plan going forward? So, Jubilee is producing gas, 10 is producing gas. We will be able to meet our maximum capacity. What happens next? What is the plan? You see, these are some of the things that government should be able to tell us so that we can plan and so that we can see the vision and the picture.
Why would it be important that even after we meet our capacity, we need to have a plan moving forward?
Because you see, if you have a plan, you can decide that the excess electricity that you're producing, one, you make sure you have a reserve margin. So
which
that
is
in
what
case,
we don't have.
Yes, so in case anything goes wrong, that reserve margin is there. But most importantly, you also make sure that you can export some of that power. Now, when you export some of that power and you earn money from it, for me, I would say, don't come and put it in a consolidated fund as we've done the others. Don't use it to support the budget, but use it to reinvest in the power sector going forward.
I want us to come back and look at the situation now. We've projected into the future and what government should do. But when we come back, I want us to discuss why the need for transparency in our agreement with NGAS and how it helps the situation, if it does at all. You're watching Business Time. The program is brought to you by Lele Foods and Giant Malt and powered by the Business and Financial Times newspaper. We're also supported by World Vision Financial Services, Jubin House of Beauty, and Nalem Clothing. There's more to come here on this discussion on power. Don't go away.
Uncle, please, can I check my number?
Okay. Wow! Gimme! You have won the ultimate prize, a brand new car.
What? A car?
Yes, a car, not a toy car. This is the key to your car. Wait, call your daddy.
Okay.
All right. So you see, he has won a car, but there are 4 more cars to be won, plus other amazing prizes and many more in the Giant Malt Open and Win promotion from July to October 2016. Just buy a can of Giant Malt, open a lid, and the number you find under it, voila, you can go to any Romani distributor or Royal Boat depots to redeem your prizes instantly. Giant Malt Open and Win promotion. Onapo. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. This is Business Time. My name is Kwame, and I'm having a conversation today on the program with the Executive Director for the Africa Energy Consortium, Mr. Kwame Jantuah. We are discussing the power situation as it is now and where government may have got it wrong. We've had quite a bit of the conversation already, but this is also equally important. Mr. Jantuah, let's talk about the broader subject of communication around the power situation, which has been a source of a number of conversations this week. What do you think, being a consortium, what do you think about government's handling of communication around the power situation now?
I believe that if you have a situation where quite a number of areas in the country is having power shortages over a 2-week duration, for me is doom so. And in so doing, communicate it. I think the reason why government isn't communicating the way it should communicate is because they don't see it as doom so, and they see it as a temporary challenge. Is it not just a politically correct way to say it, just so you can get into the good books of the Ghanaian people because the election is in the corner? That means you're taking the Ghanaian people for granted. You want to tell me that the Ghanaian people don't realize what is going on?
Could that be what government is doing?
I don't know. I don't know if that is the thinking of government. But never take the electorate for granted. Because the electorate are the ones, and the people of this country are the ones that put the government in power. And they have assessed to put any particular government in power. And so for me, if there's a challenge, come out and say it. Irrespective of whether you win the next election or not, I think if you're honest with the situation, Ghanaians would be able to plan and plan well. All this situation about, or this discussion about having a timetable or not having a timetable, what Ghanaians want to know is that, how do we plan? How do we plan our day? How do I go to the market and make sure I buy 5 cedis of meat because I know I'll get light for 2 days, instead of buying 10 cedis of meat when I know I'll get light for 2 days and the balance of the meat will spoil? That's all. It's all got to do with economics. The person and the people who suffer are the masses of Ghanaians. And if they are calling for it, put it in place. In terms of announcing that there's doom so, there's no doom so, for me, that has got to do with government. That has got to do with the power ministry, because it was our own president giving the State of the Nation address who said to us that doom so has ended. Now, if the president, in his mandate as the president, can come and say that, whose responsibility is it? It's government.
With that, are you saying perhaps doom so never ended, even at the time the president made the announcement to the Ghanaian people?
Well, doom so seemed to have ended after a certain duration. We had constant power. We didn't have the challenges that we are having today. But all of a sudden, it came back, starting with the FPSO challenges. Then came the Nigerian challenges. Then came the fact that VRA doesn't have the money to buy the crude. Then came the challenge that it's going to be difficult to raise money to buy the crude.
Is there no reason for me the regulator should be up and doing and demanding why you're telling? Because if the PRC says that financing shouldn't be a problem, then the PRC should be able to have asked the VRA, asked the ECG, why we are not getting the electricity at a time when tariffs have gone up and financing shouldn't be a problem. And let us know.
Well, it's not only the fact that they have raised the tariff and they have the financing, is the availability of the crude also. And yes, maybe the amounts of money that they have collected, they haven't been able to get the quantum to buy the crude because they've used that money for something else. But I do believe that ECG, with the current situation we are in, they should be able to give us a report on how these increased tariffs have been used. Have you seen that? From all the time that tariffs have been increased, Have ECG come back to us to say, we use it for A, we use it for B, we use it for C? No. They come and ask for an increase, and they don't tell us what they used with the previous increase. And so I think the onus is on ECG, and the onus is on PRC to make sure that this is done. I want the real stuff. Tell me what it is today, so that I can also use my judgment as a Ghanaian to see whether it's being done right or it's being done wrong. And if it's being done wrong, I can give suggestions that no, I think it should be done this way, it should be done that way. And if you take it on board, maybe we would be able to have a better system of distributing electricity than we have today.
Let's wrap it up on the ECG. There's been a lot of talk over the past few weeks about the capacity of the sole distributor of electricity, especially in the southern sector of the country. What's your take on the discussion that has gone on around whether or not we should outsource parts of management of ECG, allow independent players into the distribution level?
My main challenge with this whole thing regarding bringing in a company to take over, first of all, has got to do with the duration of time, 25 years. And if you tell me that it would take 25 years to train ECG staff to be able to man ECG, then for me it's a sellout. We're selling ECG out to the highest bidder. That's one. Two, I believe we have competent people within ECG to run ECG. Yes, it's a question of a management issue. It's a question of also government being able to pay whatever debts they owe ECG for ECG to be liquid enough to do what they have to do. Tell me, what is this thing all about? Isn't it the distribution of power? Isn't it a technical thing? Don't we have technical people here in Ghana to be able to do that? Isn't it Ghanaians running Akosombo? Isn't it Ghanaians running ECG? Isn't it Ghanaians running cocoa processing? Isn't it Ghanaians running Agri-Development Bank? When do we start relying on ourselves? That is the question. When do Ghanaians start relying on ourselves? Because we can do it. I don't see why we should outsource ECG out for 25 years. Because the company coming in is responsible to its shareholders. They're going to bring in 400 million as investment. Shareholders' money. Shareholders want their return. Where is that money going to come from? It's going to come from Ghanaians.
Is that the money we can easily raise here in the country?
Why can't we? Why can't we?
In terms of forecasts, what do you think Ghanaians should brace themselves for from now until year end, as far as power is concerned?
You see, the finance minister made it look, or made it seem, that this 400,000 metric tons of crude oil that has come is going to help sort out the power situation till the end of the year. Mine is, let's have continuous power.
Okay.
If it's going to jump up and down, that is going to be a heavy challenge. So let's find the money. We are in what month? We are in July. Going into August.
Indeed.
Let's try as much as possible to make sure that at least, if for nothing at all, for the next 6 months, lights are on. And whilst the lights are on, we are doing other things to make sure that we can secure the lights after 6 months. That is my priority.
We'll leave our conversation here. Thank you very much,
Thanks for having
Mr.
me.
Jantuah. Mr. Jantuah is Executive Director for the Africa Energy Consortium. We've been discussing the